Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are, we've got here the Judgment card in its reversal and the Ace of Cups in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about this energy that we're currently experiencing right now. Because the one thing I want to kind of navigate and recognize that we're going through right now is working through the energetic come down of this eclipse cycle. Now, I've been talking a lot about this because I often say I'm not so much worried about the time during the eclipses. I'm always really worried about the come down out of eclipse cycles, because the thing about the come down out of energetic eclipse cycles often has to do in relationality to feeling the eclipse cycle start to effectively drop, as it were, right? And the thing about this that I keep on articulating is the drop out of this eclipse energy can feel very intense right now. The reason that it may be feeling very intense right now is you have to recall that we were going through a retrograde. We were going through a retrograde prior to the eclipse cycle starting, right? So the energy was already feeling very, very heavy prior to the eclipse cycle arriving. Now you have to remember, eclipses, they don't change the energetic frequency that we're experiencing. It amplifies things. It makes it feel more energetically intense. So what we're effectively identifying right now is we've got a lot of that intensification that we're experiencing in relationality to the eclipse. And in a way, that's why we felt like there was so much incongruous energy that was occurring during that eclipse cycle, because you've got almost the energy of the eclipse, the energy of the retrograde that feels like it's energetically suppressing or pushing down on us. And then we've got the eclipse cycle that feels like it's pushing up. That's why I was articulating to make sure, to be very conscientious and make sure that what you are effectively doing in the span of the eclipse process, it's not that you can't do things during eclipses, but making sure that one is being intentional as it relates to where one applies one's emotionality, right? Because it can sometimes create a lot of volatility as it relates to our emotionality. But that ability, I keep on seeing that ability of effectively building into the context of, I keep on seeing being working through even keel energy, right? I need to say this right now. If you move through that eclipse cycle and you were pretty even keel, I want you to give yourself credit. It's not easy, especially with all of that feeling that we were having during it. Now, one of the things that we're potentially experiencing right now, and especially if you feel drained, if you feel exhausted, right? If you feel a lot of that, it can sometimes, when we're coming out of these eclipse cycles, I like to describe it similar to how we feel when we come out of full moon cycles. It can feel like it's pulling on us to a certain extent. It's like the doldrums out off of the eclipse, but this one is more intense given the fact that we were already experiencing a very intense retrograde cycle prior to entering the eclipse cycle. So the eclipse cycle is going away, but the retrograde's still here. And the thing about this is a confluence of retrogrades that we're experiencing right now. And I keep on being asked by those that I work with, when is the retrograde season going to end? And I keep on saying, as slowly as it began, because not all the planets didn't all go into retrograde together. They were retrograding, they all went into retrograde at different times. Now we're going to slowly, again, I like to describe this as this is the unspooling of the retrograde, if you will, that we're currently experiencing right now. But that's why I keep on seeing that I keep on hearing it's really important to be able to amplify and articulate upon how one is trying to do something. And I keep on seeing not only how one is trying to do something, but working, I keep on hearing working fastidiously towards definitive goals, or having those energetic conversations. Now, this is having a big impact depending on where one finds oneself on the frequency cycles. I want to talk a lot about right now. We're going to talk a lot about what I'm seeing for the energy and separation right now, because, and this typically happens when we see that there is an energetic shift in the partnership cycles. So for the energy that is in separation right now, you'll recall that we've spoken about the fact that we saw like the closing out of the temperance relationships that was happening at about the time that Uranus went retrograde, which was right before the eclipse cycle started. So for effectively what we're seeing with a lot of that energy that was going into retrograde during that experience, it's the observation of those relationships. We see that a lot of those relationships, the energy in separation right now, it feels very much like they are going through moon lessons or moon relationships. And the thing about moon relationships is it is the observation and recognition that when we heal from ourself, like the first step of moving towards manifestations is healing from self-deception. Because when we heal from self-deception, we're able to amplify and articulate and recognize, right? This is the work that we do. A healthy manifestation isn't just enough to articulate what one desires, but it's the ability to aspire into it. It's the ability to move towards it in such a way that it feels like the energetic uplift. And this has a lot to do with the journey of knowing ourselves. This is why we talk about a healthy manifestation isn't about what you get. It's who you become in accordance to moving towards the manifestation goal. So for a lot of the energy that we're effectively seeing that's working through those modalities or working through those experiences, what's potentially painful that I am observing has to do with the modality of the fact that I keep on hearing that there is a lot of catharsis that's coming through right now for the energy and separation. I've got 3 different modalities that I'm seeing right now for the energy and separation. I'm seeing right now energy and separation. There is a small portion of energy right now that is working on healing and rectifying something from the past. It is a small portion. And the small portion is rectifying and healing something from the past with the observation of the ability of what time can and cannot heal. If these were circumstances or situations where someone felt an over proportionality of emotion on something that was not important, right? Something that was incredibly minor, then we effectively see that there's a lot of that work that is potentially happening as it relates to being able to articulate upon the expression or the exposition of that energetic meaning, the ability to articulate upon something that had meaning to the self, that allows another person to be able to see how far someone has come, right? It's like the observation of the journey in relationality to another person's healing journey. So there is some window here of energy that is healing in the context of that. What it cannot heal, what cannot be healed, are modalities or experiences wherein we recognize and identify that we hold a lot of feelings in relationality to an energetic standard. And this is why we identify that the emotions that we feel towards standards don't go away. In fact, the more that we heal, the more fortified we get in terms of those emotions and standards. This is why we talk about the fact it's not about getting rid of every trigger. We're supposed to be triggered about things. Things are supposed to have meaning to us. The things that were energetically triggered talk to us about the architecture of the soul, right? And so having healthy triggers, it's the observation of understanding why something energetically bothers us, why it has energetic meaning. And this is why I keep on seeing if there's some kind of energy that's happening right now in relationality to trying to heal a relationship, but coming towards someone and instead of having a conversation, trying to mollify through something, right? Trying to almost like checking to see if someone is still upset about something. This can sometimes create not only the ending of a karmic cycle, but also the observation in relationality to how far one has come. because we've got Uranus in Gemini, and Uranus in Gemini basically teaches us about the difference between nuance, why nuance is important, right? And again, it's working through. It's not just the observation of something coming back from the past. It's the observation of being able not to have to repeat the past by recognizing that change is necessary in a past that is returning, that would allow something to be energetically progressive and possible. So everything we keep on seeing in relationality to that work right now is articulating upon the energy that may be coming into, like, it's the energy that feels reaffirmed, as it were. It's the energy that feels energetically reaffirmed and confident, based and built upon what it is that they know that they aspire for and what it is that they're seeing in another. So it's almost like the energy that is healing from trauma in the context, even like they're moving away from an unhealthy relationship, but even in the space by which they're healing the trauma of an unhealthy relationship, they're also finding that stabilization point, is what I keep on seeing. Like they're finding I keep on seeing they're finding that ability of being able to see something that reaffirms their own energetic commitment in relationality to what it is that they're building towards. Now, I do see new relationships that are coming together during this time, but what are we specifically seeing in relationality to a lot of those relationships that are coming together during this time? It's a lot of the work that we are effectively observing in relationality. There's trepidation here. There's energetic care. There's energetic discernment, as it were. And I keep on seeing that a lot of that discernment that we are observing in those modalities or in those experiences is effectively the space by which these are energies in separation that have been wounded by another person's self-deception. And what does it feel like when we're energetically wounded by another person's self-deception? It is the observation of understanding that articulating that you desire or aspire for something is only one half of the work. Right? It's not enough to want a manifestation goal, but you have to be doing the things that allows one to effectively embody it. So there's a lot of the work that we're effectively seeing that's happening in these modalities. It's like I keep on hearing it's open book energy. Right? These moon relationships are effectively open book energy, because what they're effectively doing, as it were, is they're doing the work not just to hear someone, but to comprehend someone in order to understand the full expanse upon how much one knows upon the context of something. So there's something really interesting there, because I keep on hearing it's about like a lot of these relationships are having conversations that are built upon granularity and exposition, which is the space by which they're articulating not only, I keep on hearing the difference between knowing something versus hearing something, right? The difference between, like I keep on hearing the difference between repeating something versus understanding it within the self. So that's what's really, I told you, like there's a lot of that deep diving. It's saying to me, it's like it's trepidatious, but it's also explorative. Like there's a lot of that, like there's like a delicacy there, but there's also a lot of that introspection. Continuing to get clarification for the energy moving deeper into divine union right now. Center card for today's spread. We've got here the nine of wands, the 9 of wands in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about this 9 of wands and its reversal, because this is what we're effectively seeing in relationality to those temperance relationships. And again, for the purposes of our reading, the temperance relationships were the partnerships that were coming together from between the time of between the time of the solstice period up until the time of Uranus going in retrograde. A lot of these relationships were built and based upon the understanding of mutual effort, right? The ability to calibrate and to be able to recognize and understand what one needs to bring to partnership in order to allow for that space of something moving energetically productively. And what's interesting about these relationships that I'm seeing right now is they're expounding more. I keep wondering, they're expounding more upon their books. Why are they expounding more upon their books? Because I keep on hearing it wasn't the fact that they were glossing over something about their past, but I keep on seeing that this was energy that did not want to be defined by a traumatized past. Some of these relationships that were coming together during that time, they've been through some stuff. They've been through some stuff, is what I keep on getting. It was heavy. It was not good. It was not great. There's a lot, I got to tell you, these temperance relationships, I'm sensing a lot of trauma there. And what's hard is when we go through a lot of trauma, we don't want to, like, I almost hear the energy, not wanting to scare someone away is what I keep on hearing, right? The ability of having gone through something that was so energetically difficult or devastating. This is why I keep on hearing the energy that is clarifying to one another. They're finally building into partnership to such an extent. It's funny because I keep on hearing they're ready to share with each other. It's funny because every time I hear gory, I hear glory. They're here to, like, they keep on talking about the gory details because they're trying to tell someone, like, they're ready to, like, it's interesting. It's not a heart opening, it's a solar plexus opening, is what I keep on getting. It's not, they're not going through a heart opening, they're going through a solar plexus. They're going through a solar plexus opening. And the reason they're going through a solar plexus opening is the fact that they were holding, they didn't want it, they were trying to spare someone the articulation of something that they went through that caused them a lot of pain, right? It's like I keep on seeing, like, how, like, it's like a conversation in relationality to how far deep the wound goes, is what I keep on seeing. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, like, this is them coming to share more towards one another. This is them being able to articulate deeper upon those experiences. And there's a lot there. And I keep on hearing the energy almost like articulating and apologizing to each other and almost saying to one another, like, the reason they didn't start like that is almost here. I hear you in the energy saying, like, the reason they didn't start like that is almost like the energy that says, once I start, it's hard to stop. You know what I mean? It's like, it keeps on saying, it's like the journey of trauma that says, like, the thing about trauma is we understand that trauma has its season, which is like when we're working through trauma, there's a time where it feels good to talk about something, right? There's a time that feels like it's healing because it's the expressing of the wound. And I keep on hearing, and then there's the packing of the wound, right? There's the ability of us kind of putting something away and saying, okay, that's where I'm going to leave it right now. And so I keep on hearing, like, there's a lot of that space where they're coming to get to know one another more by being able to expound and express upon something that they may have initially glossed over, not because they were trying to be energetically deceptive, but because they cared about each other and they were trying to spare one another, like they were trying to spare one another in relationality to experiencing something and not wanting to effectively not wanting to effectively articulate or let someone, I keep on hearing them saying, I didn't want you to feel like I was shaped by that, right? Which is the observation of someone saying, I carry trauma, I'm not shaped by it. It's not something that surrounds me entirely. It is something that informs, but is not energetically centered. Fourth and fifth cards in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Temperance card in combination with our 5 of Swords in its reversal. Now there's something really significant that I'm seeing in relationality to the energy that's deep within divine union. And what are we effectively seeing right now for the energy that is deep within divine union? For a lot of the energy that we're seeing right now that is deep within divine union, this observation that I like, the thing I keep on seeing, that, and it's interesting too that we were talking about the Temperance card lessons, but this is the Temperance card is actually coming through right now for the Magician relationships, because what we're effectively identifying for a lot of those relationships that are working through something in that way It is the observation of the energy that is working through a maturation process. And what we're effectively identifying with that maturation process has to do with the energy that is seeing something outside of partnership that they wish that they could change, but instead they are feeling the sense of just having to accept. And why are we seeing that the energy is working through accepting some kind of energetic circumstances outside of partnership? Because it's a continuation of the understanding and recognition that when we're working through something, and we desire to energetically change something, like I keep on hearing, you can't, if someone is ruminating upon something that you know or feel is a celebration, then you understand that often that is the sign of a maturation process, because it's the energy that doesn't necessarily understand the energetic priority by which we are moving towards things. So I keep on seeing they're healing via these Saturn's lessons, which is the reason I keep on hearing Saturn's lessons, is because they're handing something to Saturn that they know that they can't effectively touch, because if they touch it, they might make it worse. But they're recognizing that it might be something. I keep on hearing, we don't touch Saturn's lessons. We don't touch Saturn's lessons, because when we touch Saturn's lessons, we sometimes deepen, like we almost make it harder instead of easier, right? Like the observation of someone kind of going through something that is like an energetic egoic journey, but almost like the space of saying, like, give them some time, right? Like allowing someone to work through something on their own time. Continuing to get clarification between our Judgment card and our Ace of Cups in its reversal. We've got here the Queen of Cups in its reversal. Now, this is very interesting. Because we've been seeing the Queen of Cups coming up a lot. Now, what was interesting yesterday, this Queen of Cups, I just want to double check. I'm fairly positive that this card was pretty much in the same exact position yesterday in our read. The card was almost in the same exact position yesterday. Yep, exactly. Confirmation on that. So this card, it's very important. Look, there's a lot of cards. There are a lot of cards in this spread. There's a lot of cards in this deck. And they also can be in a lot of different positions. So whenever there's a card that is resting very securely in a spot, when there is a card that is resting very securely in a spot, like, it calls for us to pay energetic attention to it. And the Queen of Cups has to do with the observation of being able to, it's like, and I'm not surprised to see it here too, considering the fact that we've moved into Libra season. It has a lot to do with the modality of working towards energetic balance. It's the space by which we feel that balance point. And what's nice about, and I like to point out that I do find that I do draw an affinity to Libra energy and the Queen of Cups, because the thing I need to point out with the Queen of Cups is the Queen of Cups is not being emotionally reactive. They're observing the emotions, right? They're navigating the shape of the emotions. So it's a type of energy that allows for a lot of contemplation. And what's beautiful about that is for the energy that is in separation, this is more of that conversation in relationality to, and I keep on hearing, and this is important, because we're going to have to go through this a lot with the fact that we've got Uranus and Gemini right now, and we're going through Libra lessons. Not all emotions, and I know this is going to sound hard to hear, but it's working through the validity of an emotion is an emotion that is energetically fortified by our own logic. It is the space by which we understand, because and this is what we mean, and the thing about this is, and this is what we talk about in relationality to working upon the pathwork of our temperament, right? We've all encountered volatile energy. And what's interesting about volatility is volatility has more to do with temperamentality, right? The space by which we feel energetically tempered. This is why we talk about it's not just enough to be able to feel things, but it's able to regulate upon those feelings. That's what builds upon emotional intelligence. It's feeling a lot of emotionality, but then observing what emotions feel fortified and valid versus what emotions are something that we would be better, like better moving through, right? And so when we are in a space of emotional balance, we test our own emotions, right? We regulate upon them. It's the that regulation point of the emotions within the self, and this is often what is articulated and expressed by via the higher self, right? Because what does the higher self say? Like, the higher self speaks to us about the fact that the emotions that are healthy can always bear a conversation, right? It's the space by which we understand why we feel the way we feel. That's what brings us into our higher point of our higher self, right? It's the understanding of something that allows the clarity. When it's more of the conversation, I keep on saying it's more of the conversation between dispassion and compassion, right? What is the difference between dispassion and compassion? Dispassion is having an emotion, doing something about it, and then trying to find an excuse for it, right? Like, this is what we talk about in terms of, like, and we talk about this a lot with chariot energy too, right? It all, like, the intention of things is important. So the ability to articulate upon the difference between moving through an emotional feeling, right? The difference between moving through an emotional feeling and then trying to attach reason towards it after the fact. Like, that is often something that we recognize or feels more about the egoic self. But when we are doing the work, right, to fortify upon our emotions, we are compassionate because we communicate upon our passions. We talk about why something is important to us, and then we move in accordance to it. We're able to recognize and identify the shape by which we are trying to navigate something. So what we effectively see that is happening right now is, for a lot of the energy doing that work, articulating and speaking towards what effectively brings meaning to circumstances or situations. I keep on hearing what's beautiful about this is it's saying to me that there's energy right now in separation that is effectively going through, I want to say, like an emotional cleansing process. But the emotional cleansing process is effectively occurring via the healthy conversation. And I keep on hearing the energy say a healthy relationship is fortified by a healthy conversation, which is the ability to articulate and amplify and speak towards something that has a lot of energetic meaning to us. So everything I keep on seeing here, and that's what's interesting, because I almost see that there's a lot of the energy in separation that is having that type of conversation in relationality to the self, right? It's the observation of what it is that they're trying to achieve. And what's interesting about that, and I just need to point this out, for a lot of those relationships right now that we are effectively seeing, that I told you I see 3 different tiers right now for the energy in separation. This is either the space by which we see that there is energy in separation. There is some kind of portionality of healing that's happening, and the portionality of healing is another person articulating upon how they are working on their temperament. I would not be surprised if there's energy that's articulating upon the fact that they're trying to heal their temperament via the accountability of what it is that they're trying to do in a better way. I also see that there's some energy right now that's moving deeper into divine union, and a lot of the space by which we're identifying that they're moving deeper into divine union, like the energy that's, and I think it's funny because, and I need to stress this, when I'm saying that the energy is in separation and they're moving deeper into divine union, it's they understand the quality and the nature of what another person must bring forth with them into connection. They're understanding that it's not just enough about wanting someone, but the ability of wanting someone in the context of them not only wanting the person, but them wanting the same things that they want, right? The dual force of observation in relationality to not just desiring someone, but making sure that you want the same things. And that's what I meant in relationality to potentially some energy, letting go of unhealthy karmic situations or karmic conditions wherein there may be that desire towards someone. But, and I keep on seeing often in the space by which we're waiting for a healthy conversation and another person comes towards us more in a space of mollification, that this is the energy that says that's almost like the observation of someone looking at something and articulating upon the fact that they have or hold different energetic standards. And I keep on seeing like it's the releasing, it's almost like the space that like one makes peace with that as one progresses forward. This brings us to the energy that is building into relationship right now in separation. I keep on seeing these are the energies that are working towards, like I keep on hearing, these are the energies that are working towards the difference. I keep hearing they're working towards the difference between understanding or energetic comprehension, being able to be, I keep on hearing being able to be fortified by a conversation that allows one to feel a lot of that energetic stabilization, or working towards something in such a way that allows one the space to feel energetically like sure about something. And what's interesting about this too is I keep on hearing there's a lot of this energy that's building into relationship right now that has experienced the wounds of others self-deception. And what do we mean by self-deception? It's not enough the space by which one articulates that one is trying to do something, but rather that one is speaking towards or referencing like what one is trying to do in a greater capacity. So there's a lot of conversation that I see that is happening right now in the space of these relationships to ascertain and define what one is trying to do. Like I keep hearing to ascertain and define like the difference between someone that I keep on hearing speaks towards something that they heard versus speaks towards something that they know within the self. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Chariot in its reversal. So the thing I need to describe right now, especially with this coming out of the eclipse, I like to describe this as being like the doldrums of the eclipse cycles. It's the space by which we recognize and identify, like, and that's what I mean about like that heaviness, or like a lot of that energetic come down energy that we're currently experiencing. The thing about it, and I keep on the thing I keep on seeing is that typically eclipses are hard for us to navigate, and coming out of the eclipses can sometimes feel worse than being in them, because there's so much of this energy that is in the eclipse, and then it just feels like it moves away. The thing about this eclipse is I keep on hearing it's a very fast come down, because at the same time that we were moving through the eclipse coming into a closure point, we also moved into Libra energy, right? Mercury had already gotten into Libra a few days before, but now we're in the Libra energy. And so you have to understand, like, Virgo energy is about like working towards perfect. Libra is about balance. So it almost feels like a switch that got hit. But the reason it feels like a switch that got hit is because it's like we're going back into, like, even though the eclipse is over, the retrograde's not. So we're back in the eclipse energy. And now it's just like, it's like feeling a lot of that intensity again, but without the uplift of the energy of the eclipse amplification. So being able, I would not be surprised right now if there is energy that is prioritizing rest. So I'm going to say the same exact thing. I'm going to say the same exact thing that I said when we were articulating upon the eclipse cycle. Be patient with things right now, right? I keep on hearing, don't read things into others' energetic exhaustion is what I keep on seeing. because there's a lot of this energy right now that is like working through the energy of this eclipse process. And I keep on hearing like rushing, like I keep on hearing and it's interesting too, because it felt like a lot of the work in the eclipse feels like we're rushing, and now I almost feel like there's a little bit of that like easement. So it's like it's giving, I keep on hearing, giving someone the opportunity to effectively catch their breath in the space of this eclipse process, like the express of the doldrums of the eclipse. It's like I keep on hearing ever patient, never waiting, which is just building into that pathwork of being progressive, like through a lot of this energetic intensity. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Temperance card in its upright. Yeah, we've got here too the Death card in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about the thing with this, the thing with this Death card, like the Chariot in its reversal and the Death card in its reversal, is very much that same feeling. We are in, like, this feels very much like, I want to describe this as like liminal space kind of energy, right? Which is the, like, I want to just like and the reason we keep on seeing that to a certain extent, and we often get liminal spaces after eclipse, like after eclipse seasons. Like after we go through an eclipse cycle, I feel like I always read for a liminal space. Because you have to understand that typically when we are in retrogrades, it can feel very liminal. But when we've got the fact that we're coming out, right? Like we're coming out of the eclipse and now suddenly we're back in the retrograde, it can feel also like it's like exhausting and liminal. So making sure that you're energetically prioritizing rest. Don't get frustrated. Like I keep on hearing, don't get frustrated in relationality to things that are taking energetic time right now. Because, and this is more of that continuation that we spoke about, that we were navigating, that we were navigating when we were experiencing or working through those Virgo cycles, right? When we overly internalize upon another's, I keep remembering, when we overly internalize upon another's energetic exhaustion, we often like I said, it's the space by which we recognize and identify that, and this has to do with the fact that we also see that, and I need to stress this, Saturn has moved back into Pisces. And this, I got to say, this movement of Saturn, like back and forth into Pisces, like this has been happening a lot. But the space by which we don't get frustrated in relationality to the time things take. We get energetically productive on it. I keep on hearing time is a gift, right? When things take time, you can do more things with it. So I feel like there's a lot of that space of kind of like amplifying and articulating upon that productivity that allows, I keep on hearing, like allows the ability of being able to do something in a better capacity. And what's also interesting, I'm pointing out here, has to do with, now this is what I mean, and the reason I keep on saying this is because, and I feel like that this is happening across all of the frequencies right now. There are conversations as it relates to timing, right? Because, and we're going to go through it. So for the energy in separation, I either see that there may be some energy that was in separation, and I need to point this out. I keep on hearing the energy in separation wasn't waiting upon something, but they were being energetically hopeful towards it, right? Which is the space by which we hold hope to something, is the vibration by which we recognize that another person can bring something towards us, that it would allow something to like, I want to say, like working towards some point of restoration. There is a margin of error of energy that is experiencing that right now. There's a small margin of energy I see in this modality that is working through the conversation of another person saying that was uncalled for. Like that is the sound of the apology, of the restoration that I hear is happening in these vibrations. It's the space by which another person articulates upon the emotions that feel like they were energetically uncalled for, potentially even healing something from another eclipse process. We also see and recognize that for some of the energy doing this work right now, that understanding or that articulation point that we're effectively identifying and recognizing, if these are situations where another person was waiting for a person to come back to be able to have a conversation upon something, but instead of having the energetic conversation upon something, there's basically, like, keep on seeing, like, someone was not necessarily wanting to continue a conversation, but seeing if another person was energetically mollified enough to be able to pursue moving forward. This is why I see that there's a lot of energy right now that may be coming into some, like, very finite closures as it relates to unhealthy karmic cycles, which is the space by which we never get mollified where our standards are, because we hold triggers towards our standards because they are important. So that's why I keep on seeing that for some of the energy going through that affirmation, like, is building into the context of feeling energetically secure in relationality to their own decisions moving forward. This brings us to a lot of the energy right now that is building into partnership. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships building into partnership, the ability, I keep hearing the ability or the articulation, the ability to energetically expound upon things. I keep on seeing that there's energy that's approaching each other with a sense of trepidation because they're healing from another person's self-deception, which is the space by which another person articulates that they desire something, but they don't seem to move in accordance to it. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships, there's a delicacy here, right? There's a delicacy, there's a care of concern, but there's also something very important as it relates to the energy that is, like, I keep on hearing, as it relates to the energy that is working through something in a way, I keep on hearing delicately, right? But being able to ascertain and recognize if another person is like, it moves in accordance with what it is they say that they aspire and desire for. Like, I keep on hearing, it's giving me like open book energy. This brings us to the energy between the Temperance card and the Five of Swords in its reversal. Can I get one card, please? We've got here, we got the Ace of Swords out. We're having a very similar reading to yesterday's reading. I would encourage you to go look at yesterday's reading, because yesterday's reading we had a lot of aces out. We've got the Ace of Swords out again. But what's interesting, the one thing I want to point out about this is yesterday, the Ace of Swords, and this is interesting because the Ace of Swords was lower. Like, the Ace of Swords was lower, like closer to the pinnacle yesterday. Today, it's higher up. And I think it's interesting because it's saying to me, particularly and especially with the Queen of Cups and the Ace of Swords, the Queen of Cups and the Ace of Swords on the table, what we're effectively identifying has to do with the context of working through what one is aspiring, to do better. And this is what I keep on getting on this, because, you know, there's something there. I keep on hearing there's something really blessed with the idea of trying, which is the space by which when we try to do something, it's the ability to articulate or to put our force of intention to something that has a lot of energetic meaning towards us. And so, you know, one of the things I keep on seeing right now, and this is what I mean in relationality to the work and the manifestation goals, is, and this is why it has something to do as well with the energy that's moving deeper into divine union. This is why if we're moving towards a place of celebration and we see rumination, I keep on hearing, like, for some of those magician partnerships that are coming together, not only are they saying you can't force, they're saying you can't force feelings. is what I keep on hearing them say. That's what I meant about them going through some kind of process of wisdom, because I keep on hearing them say, you can't force feelings. And the reason that they're saying that you can't force feelings is the observation of understanding that often feelings are things that are healed via the context of time. So that's what I keep on seeing that's happening here. Like, I keep on hearing it's like the energy that is moving towards a celebration point. They've never centered partnership more, but never before have they seen energy outside of partnership being affected by a relationship. And this is why I keep on hearing, like, this is why it feels like one of Saturn's lessons, because they're saying we can't touch feelings. Right? You can't go into someone and say, I want you to stop feeling that way. Right? Like, it's the energy. And that's why they're saying, like, that is something that we give to Saturn, because it's the space by which you say, like, can you help with that? Can you help to inform them? Can you help them to understand better that I keep on hearing the celebration, like, is not something that creates that. It's not something that we can change. It's just something that we grow. I keep hearing something that we grow to understand better. Now, continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Cups and our Chariot card in its reversal. Woo! We've got here the Page of Wands in its reversal. This card has been coming up a lot as well. The one thing I need to point out right now is this is having a different impact depending on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Now, the one thing that we're effectively seeing in relationality to, and I feel like this has a lot to do with what one thing I was identifying in terms of going through that retrograde eclipse cycle has to do with the space by which we understand how the healing is coming through. And for masculine, there's a lot of inner child healing here, is what I keep on seeing. There's something really significant and important with being able, I keep on hearing, being able to embrace like a sense of joy is what I keep on seeing. There's something about masculine energy right now working in the context. And I keep on hearing there's something really important about this I keep on hearing the difference between something joyful versus something that is energetically indulgent is what I keep on getting. Because and this is why I keep on seeing that the space by which we, like, this is why we can't say, like, following our bliss is not just doing anything we feel like at any given moment. That is not following your bliss. That's following your passion. And this is often a confusing point, right? The space of following your bliss isn't just doing anything you want at any given moment. It's understanding and working towards. Following our bliss is working in accordance with our manifestation goal, right? It's understanding, it's building. It's like the difference between running around versus energetically building something, right? It's the space by which we understand that there's some, like, the things that we have to do, like the things that we do to follow our bliss become joyful, because it's the observation of something, like it's like following the energetic vision and allowing that sense of joy that arises and moving in accordance to it. But often, far too frequently, masculine, like energetic masculine energy, like masculine energy will be following their emotions. Like, you can't say you're fine. Again, this is all about Gemini. This is all Uranus and Gemini lessons. You don't just do anything you want. And when someone says, what are you doing? You go, I'm following my bliss. No, you're not. You're following your passion. You're following your passion. Doing anything you want for no reason is not following bliss, because you're not moving in accordance with something that you're trying to create. You're just doing whatever you feel called to do at any given moment. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now of the masculine, it's understanding. It's like the introspection on what bliss means, like what it is that one is trying to create for the self, and more importantly, like what one is working on changing about the self in order to allow that to be something that is facilitated upon or possible. While for the feminine energy right now, and this is what we see with the feminine energy is more working on, I'm going to tell you right now, even though she's not on the table, it's Queen of Swords energy. Because we've got the Queen of Cups here, and now we've got the Ace of Swords, which is all about a conversation on proportion. And this is why, like, I keep on seeing with like Queen of Cups, and Ace of Swords together is often the articulation of feminine that says that, it talks about the feminine energy embracing their own facets, which means it's like almost the feminine energy growing okay with, I keep wondering, the feminine energy growing okay with energy not being okay, right? Like, and I keep on seeing that, like, and I need to stress this to a certain extent, like the space by which the feminine energy is able to, and I keep on hearing like the feminine energy is being energetically proportional as it relates to bringing that compassion to the self. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy of feminine right now, it's working. It's like I keep on hearing it's working through the space of acknowledging and honoring one's own standards. And I keep on seeing that when we are in a space that we feel appreciated, it's a space by which we feel that our standards are upheld. It's the space by which we recognize and identify like what that means. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy of the feminine doing this work, and I keep on hearing, this is why it's not a journey about being nice about everything, right? Like, it's not about being nice to things, because when you're being nice, in a space where by which your standards aren't being held, then that's often speaks towards the space by which you recognize and identify, or you build into the context of energetic encouragement, right? And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, that observation, right? Like that observation of the feminine honoring themselves. This is the energy that understands that when we honor ourselves, we don't feel badly about holding our energetic standards, because we're able to effectively articulate upon them. And so everything I keep on seeing that's happening in relationality to that here, this is why, like, I'm going to tell you right now, there was a lot of an alignment day that we were observing in relationality to, like, there was a lot of alignment that we were observing in relationality to building into, like, I keep on seeing, like, building into the space by which we're able to articulate and identify what we're trying to do to bring forth a better, like, a balance upon things. And everything I keep on identifying in relationality to this here has to do, I keep on seeing with the energy of both, and when I want to talk about this with the energy and separation. For the energy and separation, if this is energy that is working to resolve or to heal something, for the masculine energy, I keep on seeing that this is the space by which the masculine is working upon understanding and recognizing themselves, like, and I'm not, remember when I said again, like, this is why these are moon partnerships, because following our bliss requires us to do that work on the inner child, right? It's working on, like, this is why I see masculine like more in the space of navigating or working through inner child healing. For feminine, I just keep on seeing this is feminine energy, not so much doing inner child healing right now, but working more into the space of identifying and recognizing and following their energetic standards. Now, and that's what's happening across all of the swaths of the energy and separation. Now, the energy that is moving deeper into union right now, effectively those temperance relationships that we spoke about, clarification between Chariot card and its reversal and the Death card and its reversal. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's that Ace of Wands. We've got, again, this is wild. All right, this is wild. Okay, so the reason I'm saying that this is wild is because in yesterday's reading, we had three of the four ace cards out, right? 3 of the 4 ace cards out. We're having a very similar reading today. So I would encourage you, if you're following the cards, to make sure that you head back over to the stack if you want to see the spread, because there's a lot of similarity in relationality to the cards that we see yesterday to today. And a lot of it has to do with the placement of all of these, like the placement of a lot of these ace cards. Now, the one thing we see is yesterday the ace card was like, yesterday the ace card was in its reversal. Today it's in its upright. So that is effectively, and I keep on saying, like, this is working through more about the observation of working into the context of Libra and what it feels like to find those points of balance. And I keep on hearing that for a lot of the energy, you'll recall, this is the energy that's moving. These are those temperance relationships that are moving deeper into, divine union. And what are they doing as they do so? They're sharing more about themselves, right? And I keep on hearing it, I keep on hearing for a lot of the energy doing that work, I keep on hearing it wasn't about glossing over things, is all I keep on hearing. I keep on hearing it wasn't about the space by which they weren't articulating the full details upon the past. I keep on hearing this energy that's articulating, that says, and remember, these are temperance relationships. They work through something internally so that another person doesn't have to. And so I almost feel like there's this modality where they're saying, I'm ready to share more about that experience. I'm willing to tell you more about that, because it's the energy that feels that they found the relationship that can navigate the capacity of navigating not just the positives of past situations, but also helping through a lot of that energetic difficulty or a lot of that energetic pain. So there's a lot, I keep on hearing they're sharing more as they're moving deeper into connection. This brings us to the Death card in its reversal in combination with the Ace of Swords in its upright. We've got here the Four of Swords in its reversal. So the thing about the Four of Swords in its reversal, and again, this card was also in yesterday's read. Yesterday it was in its upright. Now it's in its reversal. I like to describe this, and I was talking about this yesterday in the context of like understanding like what it means to be energetically balanced. It's working into the space of being able to understand, like it's like a lot of that process, or a lot of that specificity as it relates to identifying what one is trying to do in a better fashion. And so for like the problem that we're seeing that's occurring for a lot, that's wild what I'm reading for right now for these magician partnerships, is I keep on hearing this energy saying, I can't believe this is happening. And the reason they keep on saying, I can't believe this is happening, is the space by which they remember and recall an experience in the past where they felt this way. They felt energetically volatile about someone centering partnership. They remember a past version of self that experienced the same volatility that they're now seeing outside of partnership. And this is why I keep on hearing the energy. I keep on hearing the energy is having conversations upon how they have to stand back from something, which is the space by which they say you can't, and they're remembering, they're literally utilizing their own energetic recall and saying you can't go in and change another person's feelings if something that is a point of celebration is creating a feeling of desperation or something unresolved in another. That's why I keep on hearing they're healing their relationship to Saturn, because they're almost saying there's only one person that can help with that. It's time, right? It's time. Time can help with that. Continuing to get clarification between our Page of Wands and our Ace of Wands and its upright. Yep, we've got here the Lovers card. So, I have to say there's some catharsis. There's some catharsis that is happening right now. There is some catharsis that is happening right now in partnership, in separation, which is, and I need to stress this because, and I need to articulate upon this, because when we're talking about this retrograde energy, It's understanding, it's understanding what is needed versus what isn't enough. And this is what it's interesting because, again, like we were talking about, yesterday's read was about granularity. So when we talk about the space in terms of understanding what is needed versus what's not enough, right? This is often helping us refine upon our manifestation goals, because I keep on hearing that if this is energy that was in separation, that is under, like, that was like that where someone was coming back towards them, but instead of them coming back towards them, like, it's not a hooray moment. If the energy is coming back but they're trying to mollify something, right? They're trying to act like something didn't happen. They're trying to sweep something under the rug instead of addressing the reason that there may have been a separation in the first place. I keep on hearing like that is the granularity of the manifestation goal that says it's not enough to just come back. You have to have the force of intention that will allow something to go forward. Because again, when someone comes back towards us and they don't want to work on the problem, they're saying, can we proceed the way that it used to be? Right? It's the energy that doesn't say, I want to, it's not the energy that says, I want what you want. It's the energy that says, can we proceed? Right? Can we just continue exactly the way it was in the same vibration? And that's why I keep on seeing this energy that's almost like, again, in separation, honoring their no and saying, I don't think so. Because I keep on hearing, I don't, and this is the wild thing again, right? I don't think so. It's the space by which they understand that another person isn't being thoughtful about how another person may feel about something, right? So it's somebody saying, I don't think so. But what they're really saying is, you aren't thinking, you're not putting thought into the relationship. You're not putting thought in terms of where it should go, right? You're putting that care of attention. You're putting that care and attention in terms of returning back to something instead of building towards something. So there's something very important and significant upon that work in relationality to the energy, having a better understanding of what they need and is required for a healthy partnership. So, and that's why I keep on seeing for a lot of these new relationships that are starting right now, it's delicate. Like, it's delicate. There's a lot of this delicacy here. There's a lot of this energetic care. There's a lot of this, I keep on hearing, like, there's a lot of this trepidation, but I keep on hearing for some of the energy coming into partnership right now, the wariness is having been hurt before by another person's misconceptions. And being hurt by another person's misconceptions is the feeling of desiring something, but not necessarily understanding what it is that we're energetically seeking. So for a lot of these energies, like, I keep on hearing they're being very granular, but they're being very granular to help build that feeling of energetic safety. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Wands and its upright in combination with our Four of Swords and its reversal. Can I get one card, please? We've got here the Eight of Pentacles, in its upright. So for the energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now, all I keep on seeing for the energy moving deeper into divine union right now, I'm ready to share more. And I keep on hearing the energy that says, the reason I didn't share something to such a detail is I was trying to spare you of the pain of something. Like, it's the energy that almost says, like, the energy that almost apologizes for not going into further upon the fact that they were in pain about something. But I almost see the energies that I told you, these are temperance relationships. They try to do the work so another doesn't have to. So this is the energy that's finally feeling confident to articulate more about how difficult something was for them. This brings us to the energy that's deep within divine union, clarification between our Lover's card and the Eight of Pentacles. We've got the Four of Cups. In its reversal, we like to see a Four of Cups in its reversal, because the Four of Cups in its reversal effectively says to us, the Four of Cups in its reversal is the identification of being able to articulate and amplify upon energetic choices. There's decisiveness here. And I feel like there's something very beautiful, because I need to point out decisiveness. Like decisiveness is, and we're going to talk a little bit about this too, because it's the conversation, and this is what I want you to be wary about, because this has been coming through a lot in our readings. The entitlement is seeing somebody operating from need and assuming that another person is making choices, right? And when we're being energetically decisive, then it's the ability, like decisiveness is the ability to understand the full context by which another person makes a decision. It's not about making choices. When we are decisive, then we understand the full context by which another person is making energetic choices. And so I feel like there's something really interesting about that, because there's energy that is having deep within divine union, that is having decisive conversations. But the reason they're having a decisive conversation is they're understanding that when someone feels the way they do, it's not a decision. Like, that's why I keep on seeing that they're like, it's not, if they're seeing somebody in their feelings, they're not having a conversation with them about why they feel that way. They're making decisions based upon how they feel, because it's ridiculous to have a decisive conversation with someone in their feelings, because we don't decide how we feel. We don't decide how we feel. We just have them. And that's often why we hand that type of experience to Saturn, by saying, I hope the time comes that they don't feel that way, right? It's the hope that we put towards Saturn to allow someone out of the emotions, especially if the emotions are not being impacted by standards, but someone being like too much in the space of ruminating upon something, is what I keep on seeing. Bottom of the deck on this reading, Hierophant in its reversal. So with the Hierophant in its reversal, I keep on seeing, like, the thing about this is, I'm going to say this again. I was saying it during the retrograde. During the eclipse. I'm going to say it as we're continuing through this retrograde season. Don't make assumptions. Ask questions. If you see something that's weird, ask questions. Like the ability to articulate upon things. I cannot stress to you, every time we go through eclipses, I usually have to do readings for those who made gross assumptions in the midst of an eclipse cycle, right? Which is feeling a lot of intensity, and making, like, an assumption is something that you create in your head, and then you act upon it. And then sometimes you realize that, like, you were too much in your energetic headspace. So, like, I keep on hearing, don't, like, especially with energy like this, don't make assumptions. Ask questions. Questions effectively fortify things that we're feeling assumptions about. So allow that to help recognize and identify what feels like it's energetically productive versus something that you feel like you might like, versus feeling like someone potentially projecting something onto you. Because I keep on seeing, when we're not energetically projecting, like we can have those conversations. Like, and it's understanding and recognizing. I keep on seeing, like, a lot of that work right now. It's not easy, but it's fundamental. It's important, right? It's the space by which we hold that compassion. And I keep on hearing, holding compassion for things does not require us to be okay with everything. It requires us to be able to understand and articulate what effectively bothers us, or what effectively is something that we're working on doing in a better way. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site, so I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the star card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the moon card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll do my best to give you an update on everything we have studied prior to beginning that class. But if you would like to become, if you would like to catch up, now's a beautiful time to join. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions they may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my stack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. That is access to over 18 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You'll also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my, I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.